Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How's everyone this afternoon?
Excellent.
That's great. My name is Peter Margaritis, and I'm a CPA. And I'm a proud CPA. Now, I'm not your stereotypical CPA. Many have called me an accidental accountant. And why do they call me an accidental accountant? Well, I didn't get into this profession until I was 30 years old. When I graduated college, I went to work as a restaurant manager. Spent 2 years managing a restaurant, then got into the banking business. Spent 8 years in banking. Left banking as a commercial real estate lender. Had all these great tools about networking, business development, customer relations. Then the Florida marketplace collapsed. I went to Cleveland, Ohio from Fort Myers, Florida, and earned a master's degree in accountancy from Case Western. And then got into the accounting profession. But that doesn't really, what really makes me the accidental accountant. The real reason is because my brain, the way it works. Left side is where most of the accountants are, CPAs are, that analytical piece. The right side, the creative side. Well, normal people either have a real strong left or a real strong right. I've got both equally strong. And the fights that go on in my head are incredible. So I took the Herman brain dominance test. It's like the Myers-Briggs, and it said, you have a whole brain. And I said, well, that's good to know. But what this does is I have to feed both sides of my brain. If I don't feed both sides of my brain, I'm going to go crazy. So I get the analytical side of it from being a CPA. For the years of being at Price Waterhouse as a tax accountant, for working at Victoria's Secret catalog, not as a model, as within the accounting department, within circulation department, working for GAAP Inc. Direct, and in education and teaching accounting. That feeds that analytical side, but the creativity side has to come out. And how I feed that creativity side is through stand-up comedy and improvisational comedy. That gives that food. Because I love laughter. Laughter is powerful. So since 2000, I've been in the classroom. I went from public to industry, now into education. And I want to have an impact. My goal is I want to have an impact. I want to be passionate about this profession. So, what happens? Well, we get to this point here and things start blowing up. Leverage. Leverage is key. How am I going to leverage my knowledge and experiences that I've ascertained, even from banking into college, as well with my leverage? How am I going to leverage that creativity side? And as I started teaching my first classes and stuff, and I mean, accounting, it's boring, it's dry, it's like engineering, but a lot more fun. How am I going to inspire? How am I going to drive passion to students to do this, to want to be an accountant, to want to be a CPA? Well, what I did was, there's a professor at Ohio University. He passed away a couple years ago. His name was Mel Harvey. Mel was a journalism professor, and he wrote a book about writing comedy. But in there he states, if you can make a student laugh, if you can get laughter out of that student, you can spoon in a little knowledge. And that has stuck with me, whatever I do, whether it's in class, other types of presentations, interacting with people. If you can make them laugh, you can spoon something in. So I've embraced that, that mantra for myself when I teach. So when I go into the classroom and talk about a technical topic, such as IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards, and tell, you know, right now, the way it sits is the SEC has pushed off the vote for a couple more months. I don't care. IFRS is already here in the U.S., and we're surrounded by it. Canada started in 2011, Mexico in 2012, the EU, Australia, South Africa 2005, Brazil 2010. Most of the world's economy is going to be migrating to, or have migrated to, International Financial Reporting Standards. So this is not a U.S. GAAP or IFRS, the way I view it for the profession. This is that we need to be bilingual. Not so much Spanish, but we as accountants need to be bilingual. This is something that we need to do, because in order to have success, in order to have different marketing pieces, this knowledge is critical, even if the SEC says no. So I take my my love of humor, my knowledge of the accounting profession, and I try to leverage it and transpose that so I can take it into the classroom, because retention of the material is important for success. If you get the retention, you get the drive, I try to motivate. I want to motivate my students to do something, whether it's in a continuing education program for BLI or at the university level. I want that individual to walk out of that room with a drive and passion and motivation. And I try each and every time. Because ultimately, if they do this, it's going to drive their success. And I think that's what we as educators have to do, is drive success. No matter what topic we teach, no matter what we're doing, when that participant walks out the room, they need to take that nugget or two and go out and be successful. And that's what I try to do. Thank you.